you're listening to Beyond the Fourth Wall, an audio look at the visual arts in Denton, Texas. I'm your host, Damon Wadico, and right next to me is the director of the beautiful campus theater, the best-dressed man in Denton, Mr. Mike Barrow.
Hello, everybody.
You are always so well-dressed, so dapper, but I really think the top hat and the tails might be a little overkill tonight.
I did it just for you, Dave.
So the calendar. Let's do the calendar, shall we?
It.
Well, the big thing going on here, of course, is August Osage County. And you want to talk about that a little bit?
August Osage opens this Friday at 7:30. And this is, you know, it's going to be an incredible show. People within the theater world know this show very well. And
I've seen it. It's a great show.
It is. It's a wonderful show, and we're very lucky to have it here. And we're also lucky to have the cast and the director that we have. A lot of DCT veterans in this show. It's one that you really don't want to miss.
And so that opens
Friday, this coming Friday at 7:30. So it'll run Friday, Saturday, and the next Friday and Thursday, Friday and Saturday at 7:30. And Sunday and the following Sunday at 2:00.
Matinees. Okay, very good. Oh, and we should stress that usually we say bring the kids, bring the family. Not so much to August Osage County.
Not for this one. We do recommend it for mature audiences only, due to language and innuendo.
Yes. And really, I'm not wild about small children and babies in the theater in general. So. Everybody is so afraid to hire a babysitter now, to leave their precious ones with some stranger.
You're just that evil theater guy that everybody talks about.
You know where my parents used to take me and my siblings? Do you know where? Nowhere. A series of babysitters. We didn't leave the house till we were 14 years old. It's perfectly safe. We had hundreds of babysitters, and almost none of them were molesters. It was just, perfectly fine.
I, on the other hand, owe every bit of my love for the theater to my parents, who started us at a very early age. So, we'll have to agree to disagree on that one, David.
How early?
Saw my first show when I was 8.
To be honest, I probably saw my first show at about 8. 8's fine, especially if it's an age-appropriate show. Don't bring an 8-year-old to August Osage. There's a few adult situations, and there's a little language. Anyway, our guest tonight is another Mike here at the theater, Mike Strecher. Am I saying your last name right? Strecher?
Just right.
Good. I had to practice that because I always want to say Strucker for some reason. And you usually answer to that, so partially that's your fault. But
I answer to a lot of things.
Isn't it?
And he is, what you were telling me his official title earlier.
Facilities manager of the campus theater. But that's just one of Mike's
many hats.
Hats that he wears.
May I call you a master carpenter, sir?
I think that'd be safe. I kind of think I'm a jack of all trades
definitely.
And a master of a couple. And carpentry is one of those.
Well, you design sets, you build sets, you're an artist, an actor. You do it all.
Well, I try to do it all to varying degrees of success, I'd say.
Now, I just want to bring up, do you remember when we first met, you and I?
Well, it was probably my first show, Streetcar Named Desire.
My second show.
Yeah.
Yes. And I remember, and I still have mine, the gift you gave, the show gift you gave to everybody in the cast. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. I still have a copy of that.
I have mine, too. Yeah. Nicely framed.
I found it the other day, and I went, wow, that's kind of neat.
And, well, since this isn't a TV show, you might want to describe what it was.
It was just a spray paint picture of a streetcar in New Orleans.
That was done with spray paint?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
And I did. Very nice.
I did about 40 copies of that, and that's
and you did them all with.
That's a huge addition for spray paint and stencils.
I was going to say you did them every one of those with spray paint. I just thought you had a master, and somehow these were just.
No, those were all original prints.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, all the more precious.
Well, possibly.
And besides all these other things that you do for the theater, you are also a crossword puzzle master.
I do the crossword. I do the New York Times puzzle every day. Yeah.
he does, Mike Barrow. He does it in ink.
Yeah, and he does Fridays in ink.
I know.
That's-
I cross things out sometimes.
Oh yeah, well, ink. I do mine with a number 2 pencil and Google wide open when I do the crossword. I'm happy if I get through the Scrabble.
You're a cheater.
I am a cheater.
Oh, it's
when I
terrible.
first met Mike, I was so excited because I think one of the first things I saw him do was work a crossword, and I thought, hey, we already got something in common. Until it got to Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, and I was still struggling to get the one, niche in the wall. Please let me have one word just to get started. And he's like, "Oh, I finished this morning with coffee."
Well, sometimes I spend 4 hours on Saturday doing it or something. So
It takes me like 8 hours, and that's with Google and a pencil.
Yeah.
But going back to Streetcar, so that was your first show.
Yeah, and I was scared to death. Michelle Rose, who's in
She
August Osage County,
Played my wife in
called
that show.
me and said, "We need guys in this play. Can you do it? You don't have to audition." I said, "Okay." And I had no lines, but I was the first one out every night. And that first night, opening night, when I went
That's
out
right.
there, set up an easel and started sketching, I was scared to death.
It was my second show, and I was pretty scared myself.
And the hookers on stage, there were hookers in that
I
show,
remember.
and they were teasing the hell out of me, and I was just blushing red and trying to keep my composure, and I didn't have anything to say, and it hooked me for life, though.
So how did you go from there, then becoming, a regular, employee of the theater?
Well, I volunteer. I did shows and volunteered in a lot of different ways, backstage or running lights or running sound or doing anything pretty much. And for a few years, and I kept badgering whoever was the manager you need to hire someone in the back room to take care of things, because there was no one there. It was chaos. I mean,
So
things
we-
were just kind of, every show was up to itself, and there was no boss in the back.
I did not realize that. There was never an in-house person like that
Well, there
before.
was here and there, but for
They came and went.
for a lot of the time there wasn't, and it was just kind of chaos in the scene shop. And I thought, well, I can run this shop. And so I finally, Scott Crew talked to me and said, "Hey, I'll give you a job, and you can run the scene shop half time."
Scott Crew was the director at
He
that
was the
time.
general manager
Or the
then.
general manager.
And after that, we talked about it, and I said, well, the custodial crew comes in once a week, and they get paid this much, and I could, give me an extra 10 hours, and I'll do it. So I got up to 30 hours, and then eventually I became full-time and started kind of doing anything that was asked of me, pretty much.
And then bless his heart, he met Mike Barrow.
And Mike Barrows. Yeah, Mike's been great. We get along, I think, really well.
Oh, he's your boss. You don't have to. You don't have to suck up to him here. He's my puppet head.
I'm the guy who laughs.
Honestly, I'm not sucking up. He's
No.
one of the better bosses I've ever had,
Oh, thank you, Mike.
and just a great guy to work with. He lets me do what I need to do, and gives me a certain amount of autonomy, which I really appreciate. I need that. That's kind of the way I am.
Well, he lets your creative spirit fly all over the place.
Well, whoever works with me understands eventually that I like autonomy in a way. Sometimes for the good, sometimes not so much, but
Now you have, or someone told me this, and I don't know if it's true. You have an arts background. I mean, an arts education.
yeah, I have a degree in drawing and painting, and then I went to graduate school for about 3 years and dropped out just before I graduated. So, but what I realized was that I don't know enough to be an artist at that point in my life. And it's kind of sort of an Ernest Hemingway thing, but not really. But I wanted to experience life so I could understand how to portray life as art. And
Wow.
so I spent 5 years as a commercial fisherman, and I worked as a carpenter for about 6 years. I worked on a sprout farm for 10 years, and I learned a lot about life, about survival, and about how to do things make something out of nothing, and how
You're like a
to,
real Renaissance man.
well, I didn't really,
I've done nothing.
I didn't really
feel
intend it
horrible.
that way.
I do my puzzles in pencil, and I've never been anywhere. You're making me feel horrible.
Well, I wanted something to make pictures about, and I've got that now.
Well, do you still draw and paint just for either pleasure or outside of the theater?
I do, but not near as much as I used to, because what I do on stage now it's kind of big giant art.
Oh, it is.
And it's like making a huge painting, and it takes most of my time is the main thing. So I don't really have a lot of time to do what I used to do,
Right.
painting pictures, but I would love to get back into that. I think soon, eventually, I will.
Yeah, there's always time when you've retired.
Well, eventually, at some point, I won't be able to do what I do anymore. I'm 56 years old, and
Oh, so old.
well, when you have to act like a monkey, it is.
Oh, I must say, you do not look 56. And the interesting thing about you, I've noticed watching you as an actor in other roles, is you have a certain physicality where you can play people who are much younger than you and much older than you just as effectively. You're very chameleon-like on stage.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Definitely a compliment.
That's a huge compliment.
I've seen you play in comedies. I've seen you play cops. I've seen you play killers. I mean, and believable in all of them. I mean, since the days of Streetcar and no lines on stage, you have really turned into quite an actor.
Well, I've tried to be a sponge, and look at all these. I've been on stage with a lot of great people, and I've tried to look at what they do and how they do it and how they act on stage and off. And
I would
figure out-
imagine all those different careers, fisherman and farmer, and some of that has probably helped. Your life experience has probably fed into that somewhat as well, I would think.
Couldn't height.
Couldn't hurt. Exactly. Now, you were talking about big giant art, and I got to say, I saw pictures of the August Osage set. That thing is beautiful and massive.
Well, thank you. It's the biggest thing I've ever built on that stage in 7 years, and God, it's just been a nightmare and a blessing and a joy and all that stuff.
We
I mean,
actually have a question that came over Facebook for you all the way from Lubbock, Texas.
Oh,
From Betsy Dieterman. She wants to know how tall that set is.
well, the third floor, the attic floor, is actually 12 feet off the ground, and then it's another 6'3" to the top of the walls, and another 40, so close, somewhere around 20 feet
Wow.
Wow.
at the peak.
That is massive. And we should describe it a little. What you've done is you've basically built a house on the stage. It's like cut open. You describe it.
Well, the thrust of the stage is the first floor, and that's a pretty huge area. And then there's a second floor that's 8 feet off the ground. That's a bedroom. And then there's a hallway back to an escape stair. And upstairs, another 4 feet, is an attic. And the attic and the second floor both have roof lines to them. Let's see, I'm trying to think of what to say about it. It's huge.
It is. It's huge. And I'm wondering if maybe when you strike it, you could just take all the pieces, bring them to my house, reassemble them in my backyard, because that house is bigger and more beautiful than what I actually live in.
If it had running water and electricity, it'd be way nicer than my house.
I think it has electricity.
It does have some, yeah.
I've never seen so many practical lights on a set in my life.
Well, one person I really stressed out on this was Brad Speck, the lighting designer, and he pulled out all the stops and really did a great job making it beautiful. There were parts that were almost unlightable, and he did it somehow.
I got to watch a little bit of the Q to Q the other night, and just the little bit that I saw, the lighting job that Brad did on this was incredible, and it really, and of course this is what you want your lighting designer to do, but the shadows and it's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's just an amazing set to sit out there in the audience and watch it work. There's times in this show where I saw that there were things going on in every room in the house, and it's incredible to watch.
It was one of the hardest ones to organize on stage that I've ever done. I mean, it was really hard in a lot of ways, and I didn't completely solve everything. There are failures along the way. There are sightline problems in a few places, and there's things that I wish I could have done different, but once you build something that big, you can't change it.
I was gonna ask about that. It seems like, unlike costumes and other aspects of theater, lighting, sound, you can change things pretty much at the last minute. But once you've built something this massive, that's what you got.
Yeah, and if it's terrible, you're screwed.
It is beautiful. I mean, I haven't seen the actual set, but I've seen the photos online. My jaw dropped when I saw them. It was like, wow. And you always build really impressive set pieces, but
well, thank you.
This one.
Well, I got one more day to work on it, and I'm like, I think I almost like it now.
You had a lot of interesting mix of help on this set from veterans of DCT, and you also had some folks that maybe their first time here that came in and helped on this set as well.
Well, that's true, and I had a lot of my help early on was community service, people doing their time for their crimes.
That's great. That's great.
And then I had a little help here and there from Johnny Williams was my hero, by the way. He totally saved me on this.
He's definitely a hero here at the Campus Theater.
And then we had an insane work day with the cast and crew coming in to help, and it went from 2 people to 4 people to 6 people to 10 to 12 to like 14 people I was trying to keep busy at the same time, and those are always nuts, but we got a lot done. It's quite a variety we get around here.
Oh, that's no doubt about that. Are you for this show? Are you listed as set designer or?
Yes.
So when you are designing a set, I know with costumers they have to do a lot of research. I'm not talking about just this show, but is there a lot of research involved, especially if you're like doing a period set? I mean, do you look at photographs, or if there's a movie available, do you watch the movie?
I do. I look at things on the internet, but mostly I read. I mean,
right.
I read the play. My first step is to read the play just to see what it's all about.
Sure. Just
to give myself a general impression of it.
Right.
Then I read it again, and I think, where do I need to have a door, a closet, an opening, a kitchen, this thing or that thing? Mm-hmm. Where are my needs? And then I talk to the director about it and find out where do you want people to come in and out? Where do you want this to be? Where do you want that to be? And then once I know all those things, I kind of let it stew for a while, and then I draw some pictures and draw some more pictures, and then I hate those and draw some more and talk to the director about it, and she says, well, you can't do that, and I change it, and eventually it gets to it where I have a general concept of what I'm doing.
Right.
But it still, at the end, I don't always know what color everything's going to be or what paint I'm going to use here and there.
Right.
I like to kind of keep it organic as it goes. Okay. But the building part, you really have to plan. The look of it, you don't necessarily.
Right.
A lot of people like to, but I kind of like to keep it sort of free so I can do it as a painting. I look at it and I go, it needs a little more something over there, and I just sort of treat it as if I'm doing a giant painting.
Have you ever had a director that, say after you've built something, or maybe you're not, before you've even finished building it, comes in, looks at your work, and really just dislikes everything you've done? Has that happened, or not so much?
No, I really don't think so.
Okay, very good, very good.
I mean,
We've had some tough directors I know who don't like much of anything, and I was just wondering if that ever happens to the set designer.
pretty much every
as well.
time there's some part that they don't like.
But
But
you never had anybody say, this has all got to go.
I just hate this. No,
Okay,
I never
yeah.
have.
So Mike, do you have a desire to direct?
I've thought about it, but it kind of sounds like really one of the hardest jobs in the whole show, and one of the least, with the least rewards. It's a tough job.
I do agree. I mean, a part of me does want to, but I'm the same way. It's like, this is real work. Just let me put on a costume and
I
get on
would
stage.
so much rather be on stage. I love it on stage.
Well, to go on with that, do you find between acting and designing sets, and even just art for art's sake, for you, what do you find the most creatively fulfilling?
Definitely acting.
Yeah, I do
Acting,
agree.
singing, I love it.
I would think building sets by now is more almost like a job.
Designing is very, very stressful.
I'll bet.
And the directors are all, they have their own idea what they want, and you have your idea what you want, and it's always kind of a butting of heads in a way.
So knowing that acting is truly the most creatively fulfilling, what is of the roles you've played in the past, what has been your favorite or even favorites?
39 Steps was my favorite
Funny show.
Wonderful.
favorite
Yeah.
show ever to do.
Yeah, great show.
I can't remember my character name, but
I have that too. It's like I will know my favorite role and my favorite play, and then somebody says, "Well, what was the character?" I can't remember the character's name.
But he liked haddock.
he did like Haddock. And The Drowsy Chaperone was a very, very funny show.
That was a funny show.
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, the producers. I think I'm really, really lately drawn to comedy.
I have to say, comedies are my favorite too.
Yeah.
There's something about being on stage and hearing somebody laugh and knowing that you've done that, you know?
Yeah, and
It's an immediate gratification.
the world